Okay, so this is an early to mid 80s Sanyo. I believe it's a 12-inch or maybe a 14-inch box fan. This style of box fan was never very common in the US. They were common in other areas, such as Asia, I believe Australia. I do have this one, and I also have another similar box fan that is a Tung Fu. I don't remember if there's an actual brand on it, but I know it was manufactured by a Taiwanese company called Tung Fu, and has a blade that looks like a windmere blade on it. Now it has metal guards, or at least the front guard is metal. Looks like a metal guard that came out of off an oscillating fan. But yeah, I like these fans. They're not my favorite form factor. This has the rotating grill. This does not use a synchronous motor to rotate like that Holmes one that I smashed in my 100th video, I believe it was, special back in the summer of 2016. That one had a synchronous motor that turned the grill, and then some of them also use a gearbox off the back of the fan motor to turn the grill. This one just uses air. You know, when you turn it on, or turn the rotary control on, all it does is release that little pin, which allows the guard to turn. When you lock it, it just locks and it indexes into these little pins, but it also has a little bit of a ratcheting so you can still manually adjust it. And then it also has this knob here, and there's a screw under it, and it's a little overcomplicated. It's a good product. It's a little overcomplicated the way this is held on. It's Japanese. They tend to do that, especially back then. But it is a very nice fan. It's made out of the same kind of material, the same kind of plastic as it appears to be the same type of plastic as the Lasco Galaxy Sanyo oscillating fans at the time. Don't know what kind of plastic it is, but it is what it is. It has 3 speeds. The high speed didn't work unless you held it down. It was just the slider was stuck in the switch. Here's the top of it. It's fairly quiet. It has a lot of little blades. I believe it has 11 blades if I remember correctly. So it tends to make a kind of a higher pitch noise, but not annoying. And the back guard is a pretty good distance away from the front of the blade, so it doesn't have that whirring noise from having a blade right up against the guard. Motor's here. It blows air over the motor. In typical Japanese fashion, or Japanese product fashion of the time, the whole thing felt like it was about to break the entire time I was, working on it. That's just how the plastic was back then. It's just the type of plastic. Just take your time with this stuff. Oh, come on, focus. You fuck. There you go. It's a PSC, or a permanent split capacitor motor. It also has these little plastic feet that flip out, so I guess it can tilt back. I've never tried those. I know they're there. I've never tried them. Angles it back a tiny bit. Kind of a gimmick. I bet that those are real easy to break. Kind of thick. I do like that it has what appears to be a cord wrap on it. It has a blank switch. There's no switch there, but a blank where there would be a voltage selector switch, so I would assume they offered this, or at least something that used the same cabinet as a dual voltage model, which is kind of odd. At first I was thinking it's a Japanese product. I know they have 2 different power grids over in Japan, but if I recall correctly, Japan uses 100 or 110 volts, somewhere around there. 100 volts, I'm thinking, for some reason. But they have 50 and 60 hertz, as opposed to having just 60 in the US, or most of the world uses 50 hertz. I don't know why they use 50 hertz. It's 50 hertz, in my opinion. It makes a horrible buzzing noise. It's a very nasty noise. I feel like the 60 hertz hum isn't as bad. But yeah, that is cool. I'm guessing they sold this, or sold another version of this. Oh, there's also another hook here, so you can wrap the cord around it. I'm guessing they sold the version of this to other countries. You can see there's a screw hole to lock the grill on. It's not tapped. There's no thread in there. I don't think it ever had a screw in it. To get this back guard off, you have to push the guard in here, and here there's a tab. You have to push it in and then lift it off the bottom, and it's just not a good design. It's just scary to do that. The guard I glued here, 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 here. So when it was before I glued it, it was a little easier because I just popped this loose piece out a little bit so I had a little more flex. I wouldn't even try to do it. I'm just not going to take this fan apart again if I can avoid it. Luckily, I should be able to clean it. I'm probably not going to use it a lot, but I like it. I might be able to actually file, cut those little tabs back. You can see them there, in there, and then just put a screw in there. I might do that. So I'd rather slightly modify it than crack the grill in half. So anyway, here it is. Here's low. I believe this uses the same switch as the Lasko Galaxy fans. It looks exactly the same. It could be a little different, but I think it's the same switch, just different keycaps on it and a slightly different housing. One bad design about this is there's a screw here and here under this, trim piece. So to get the switch out, you have to remove those screws, but you gotta carefully lift this up, and I lifted up the corner of it here and it creased a little bit there, and I just gave up. I just worked with it in the casing. I oiled the motor. It did appear to have two oil ports. It had one on the front and back. The back oil port, if I remember correctly, faces down, which is stupid, but I give it oil. So here's low. It is quite powerful. Here's medium. Here's high. Yeah, the grill binds a little bit. Even though I did lubricate it with a little super lube. Doesn't always do that either. You can hear it rub a little bit. I'm thinking the guard is a little warped, or something's a little worn. Sometimes it works fine, sometimes it doesn't. And then here's high. I've always found these to be a little gimmicky with the rotating grill. I like the design of it. I understand the principle, but they're kind of gimmicky. But it is what it is. Like I said, this is not my favorite form of this fan, but so far this is my favorite one of these types of fans I found. I like this thing quite a lot. Will I actually use it a lot? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm a little leery with using these ever since the gyro airs, because in my eyes they're all the same design. They're all in a completely plastic contraption, and I guess that argument's invalid because most fans from the 70s to now are completely plastic. The gyro airs, those things, I don't usually say this, but it's a good thing those things were pretty much all destroyed because they're garbage. They're collectible now because they were bad. but they were a piece of shit. I'm just going to say that. This is not. This is a very well-made product. I like this. I don't know if these are any safer. I'm sure it is because, you know, this has an actual switch. The motor actually has a, you know, it's turned off. It doesn't just keep getting power all the time and sitting there in a stalled state like the gyro air. I don't know if this type of plastic's any more or less flammable. Who knows? But this is a nice fan. One thing I noticed about this motor is, if you look here, there is a wire there, a wire there. There's a thermal fuse. It looked like a fuse. It didn't look like a resettable switch. But there was a thermal fuse that runs in a little piece of plastic, like vinyl hose. It's not heat shrink. It's some kind of wire sheathing. It looks like a plastic, you know, piece of like vinyl hose, very thin, like an aquarium airline. And it runs right against the back of the motor, and there's a little, it looks like a thermal fuse in there. I like that idea because that's an easily replaced fuse, but I don't know how safe that is. I would assume, I didn't really look too closely at it, I would assume that it's probably a low temperature to make up for the fact that it's kind of insulated from the motor. But that alone makes me a little leery to run this. But at the same time, this is a Sanyo. They made plenty of fans that I've used, and a lot of people have used, so I feel like they probably know what they're doing. I don't know, I never took the motor apart. There could be another fuse in there, I don't know. But that is just kind of an odd thing about it. It's got a wicked looking blade on it. And it has a weird metal nut that holds the blade on. And it has this weird keyway. It's a very strange design. It's Japanese. Of course it's weird. But it is an overall pretty nice fan. The last thing is the plug. It has a good quality thick power cord on it. And it has a Kawasaki branded plug. So, there's that.